You already mentioned you still play songs from when you first started out. So what was this, now that the anthology is coming out, did you have to revisit a lot of those songs? Or?
There were really only two things we would have considered playing off of that, and that would have been one thing from our first self-titled album, and then from the EP, the Twilight Sentinel EP. Those two are what comprise the anthology.
Those records are kind of from before we started touring, so it's not our natural live configuration anymore. You know what? I think we kind of basically.
We used to play those songs. We did tour on some, we did tour on some with some of that stuff, but we just haven't played them in so long, and I think that we have more fun playing other stuff, so we'd rather do that.
Kind of started at Cosmos, our first Relapse record. We sort of just that's as far back as we go these days. Before that doesn't even feel like what we do now.
Yeah.
And does that tie in then with, I read somewhere that you consider yourself now more of being a live band, whereas initially it was more of a studio thing?
Yeah, well, we kind of went through another studio phase later too. We no longer live in the same city. I live in New York and in New York State, and Tony lives in Pittsburgh, so we can't get together for weekly rehearsals. And when we get together and write, it requires a lot more preparation and scheduling. I have a couple kids now, but the last couple records we made were more studio records. Just because our schedules were crazy and it was difficult to get together. So a lot of the recording and the writing was done remotely.
And then you still, aside from Zombi, you still do other projects as well. I read you did a score for music quite recently.
I've done a couple film scores, yeah.
So, well, you mentioned it already, but how difficult is it then to find time? Because I also saw something, I think it was your blog, where you were playing drums and for the new album. So is there a new Zombi album coming up?
Yes. Yeah, we're probably like 85% done with it. I mean, it just needs to be mixed and mastered.
We fly home to do a couple days of mixing, and we're very close to finishing it. We're hoping to get it out this fall.
What was the starting point for the new record?
I'd say the Goblin tour really sort of.
Yeah, playing that was good. Got us back out on the road.
With Goblin, not Claudio's Goblin, the other four original members. We opened for them in the States, and we hadn't played in years and years, and it was sort of a eye-opening experience. You know, people were really was so much more accepting of what we were doing than when we were. The tours that we've done and the receptions that we've gotten have not always been enough to keep it going. But after this Goblin tour, it was a radically different experience. It was the best crowd. The crowds were so responsive, and it just made us want to do it again.
And then in terms of the music, the Goblin, I read somewhere that because Goblin did the soundtrack for Dawn of the Dead, right? Mm-hmm. And then that this was something you bonded over as well. So
that's what we named our band.
Right. So what was it like then to be on tour with them?
It was a dream come true.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And then I got the tour playing keyboards with them the next year. Last spring, I did a short tour with them.
And when you then start, you mentioned the new record starts mostly inspired by those tours.
Inspired by the experience.
Right.
The music is all inspired by Foreigner.
Okay.
And Deep Purple.
But what did inspire? Are you kidding now? I really can't tell.
Nobody can tell.
It's
Nobody
like.
Truthfully, we've always kind of been more radio rock. Like we're like when Van Halen uses synthesizers. That's what we like. When Heart uses synthesizers in Magic Man. That's.
Yeah, it's kind of a love.
We didn't know about Klaus
Schulze
Schulze before we started this band. Right. We were coming from what we heard, Pink Floyd, stuff we heard on the radio growing up. Obviously Dawn of the Dead was filmed in the town where I grew up, so that was part of the pop culture there. But
But your music has a definite cinematic quality
Oh, sure.
to it. So when you started on the record, did you have images in mind then for the music that you were playing?
No, that's never been the case. That's the kind of music we write. So you would think that maybe we have some idea in mind, but it's never been like we're trying to score some film in our minds. It's just we just
leave
kind
that up to the listener.
It's kind of, yeah. I think we just like to write kind of dramatic music in a way, stuff that builds and creates tension, and you know, it's kind of just like a perfect marriage of all of these influences. Because I mean, I feel like anymore with music, you have to try to find. We're all just kind of synthesizing something that will make sense for us, what we want to play. So it's kind of like we picked like, all right, we like soundtracks, and we like progressive rock, and we like these synthesizers, and we just kind of like mixed it all together and like just tried to like create our own thing from it. And so that's where we are, I guess. So yeah, there's never any idea of like we want to create a scary album or something
This
like
is
that.
the cemetery scene.
Yeah.
No, we don't do like that.
But how do these songs then arise? Is it the way you're feeling it, simply the way you're feeling at that moment?
I don't. It's just
Well, the new album, we just got together and jammed.
yeah. We just set, which is the way we used to write all the time.
Set up all our gear and get a sequence going on one of the synthesizers and pick up the bass and the drums and play along for a while. See if
We just recorded a bunch of
things
stuff.
sort of just come together on their own.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned the album is about 85% done. Do you have an album title yet?
Maybe. We're not sure yet. Are we sure yet?
We're pretty sure, but I think
Pretty
I think we'll wait until we get the. I'm sure there'll be some like big release. I think we're pretty sure about the name. That was the tough one of the. We used to never have trouble naming albums or songs, but this one like we really kind of hit a wall with some titles and some of the. Just usually there's some sort of idea or focus as far as like the way we want to present the music. And
Well, this
one
album
was a
is
little
definitely. I think at times we have been a little more conceptual, but this is
Yeah.
really just about the music. We really
Yeah.
had no preconceptions about what this means.
So it's just the best songs you can come up with. And
Yeah,
the
we
coherence was maybe a little bit less important.
It's just doing the best we can do.
Yeah, we
Being
had
the best zombie we can be.
Yeah, we had 3 days of like recording. We recorded everything we played, and then we went back through and picked all of our favorite parts, and then from there we crafted songs out of that stuff, which is how we used to write all the time.
We set up a tape recorder in the corner of the practice space and
Yeah.
just jam and then listen to it and go, oh, that part's cool. Then you go back the
Yeah.
next day and you play that part and organize it with another part that we liked.
And finally, then, in that way, does the music change over time as you play them live?
Yes, well, a little bit. I think that
No. Yes.
there are like little differences. I think for me I'll play the structures usually of the song is generally the same. I'll play them differently. Like I definitely play like different drum parts on things compared to when I used to. But then again, on some of them I play like the exact same things. It's like really seems to be the best thing I could be doing in those parts. So I think that we were able to rehearse enough that like I would always get to that point. Some of this new stuff. We're playing a couple songs tonight that are new, and they're still changing, which is fun. So when I play them, I don't have to think like, okay, I have to do this thing. I can kind of do whatever I want still. So they're still kind of coming into their own.
I definitely
So-
try to keep things as similar as possible. I want my end to sound exactly like it did in 2004.
How come?
It's just the way it was meant to sound.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.